Hello and welcome to the weekend edition. Da, 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 da. We are Almost in Agreement. Check us out at almostinagreement.com. We have a Gmail. It is almostinagreement@gmail. Find us on Facebook, Twitter, or YouTube. While you're at any of these places, please like, share, friend, subscribe, retweet, follow. I think I got everything. Help us out. It helps spread the word. Give a 5-star review. Tell us we suck, but at least put the 5 stars on there because that's all that the algorithm counts. Really appreciate those of you who have been reaching out on different topics. It's been kind of fun to interact with you guys. Keep it up. I enjoy it. almostinagreement.com/cityelections21. Go there for the election cheat sheets. Early voting starts Tuesday. So early voting is going to start here pretty soon, so we're getting in the thick of it. That's what I've got going on. So we're going to keep working on different stuff. Governor Lee's big announcement Friday was kind of exciting. We'll talk about that a little bit as well as anything else going on. So we're Almost in Agreement. almostinagreement@gmail.com. Hit us up. Stay tuned. Here we go. What's up, fellas?
Mm.
All right.
Big UT win today. Since AC's not here, we don't have to bitch about the bad product thing. We could just say we went out and beat a not very good South Carolina team. Well,
his favorite expression is bad product.
Poor product, yeah. Which I don't really understand. Like, I don't know. We've gone back and forth on it, and I give up on the argument with him. Like, I get what he's saying. Like, you know, what is going to get UT athletics to press the issue to actually put out a good quality football team that wins games and goes to big bowl games and stuff like that, other than we stop showing up and stop paying, and the sponsors stop showing up and they stop paying, and all those things start happening. That's the number one incentive in the game. And, I get what he's saying. It's like, why would you, if you're UT Athletics, why would you put forth real effort into trying to put together a real competitive team if you don't need to? Because at the end of the day, 80,000 people are going to show up for a Pittsburgh game that you lose. That's his argument, and I follow what he's saying. But, then it's like, well, we went and beat a Missouri team, which isn't very good, but beat them. The most points scored in like 10 years for UT football or something like that in a game.
Wow.
And then we go beat a South Carolina team. So now we're talking about SEC wins. We're, 4-2 now?
Yes, that's correct.
And we're 2-1 in the SEC, 2-1 in non-conference play. We're not, obviously the rankings are kind of skewed right now, but, we're right in the middle of the pack of the SEC East right now, technically. That's going to change next weekend when Ole Miss comes up and beats the shit out of us. And then the weekend
Florida.
After that when Alabama beats the shit out of us.
Yeah, Alabama. And
Florida already did.
And then Kentucky beats the shit out of us because they're whipping up on LSU right now.
I know, and I bet on LSU like an idiot. Ed Orgeron's probably my favorite voice in all of sports. Like, he is straight up the dude from, what's Adam Sandler?
Happy Boy?
Yeah.
Waterboy.
Yeah.
That's it.
Straight up that guy. Down around, we'll play a football game today. So, I don't know. Like, again, I get AC's point. I do. I truly do. But at the same time, it's like, I still enjoy watching UT football when they win games. I still background noise it. Like, I was down here resetting the headphones amp, cleaning up down here to make the room pretty for you guys, and I had the game on. I wasn't like, I don't know that I've ever been I'm going to sit and watch this game intently. Like, Green Bay games, pro games, yeah, I'll sit and watch those games, and you walk in the room and start talking to me, shut the fuck up, I'm watching my game.
Well, we were traveling somewhere when the game started, and we got to where we were going, and I was like, oh, the UT game's on. What's the score? I was like, 20-0. What the hell? It's first quarter. What the hell happened?
Yeah. Yeah, that offense is okay. I mean, it's I don't know what, my whole argument, and it's the same argument I've had, which is a little bit of a different argument than AC's, is I think college football has a real problem as a whole. And I think the real complaint about UT football is a consequence of what I see as the problem with college football as a whole. Like, as of right now, the ACC doesn't exist, probably won't have a playoff team. Big Ten won't have a playoff team because they beat each other up. SEC will have Alabama. Big 12 probably won't have a playoff team, although Oklahoma did come back and win that, right?
Well, you're talking about SEC is going to have Kentucky.
They might. I mean, they really might. Or Georgia. Or Alabama. One of the three. But a point being, though, is like that, like, outside of, I think the Big Ten and the SEC are the only real conferences that play, and we're the middle of the pack of the big boy conference in the country. The real question would be, can UT, as we see them right now, go to Big 12 and win a Big 12 championship? Can they beat Texas, Oklahoma, who are going to be in the SEC next year anyway? But can they beat those teams?
Well, the question is going to be next year. Like, you can say all day, yeah, absolutely, but we'll see next year when that happens. Like, how well the Texas and Oklahoma fare.
Right.
You know, that's going to be the real test.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Like, it goes both ways. Like, that's my point. Is like, I think Tennessee could go and compete in the Pac-12, Pac-10, whatever the West Coast thing is, with Oregon and those guys. I think UT, as we see them right now, they could certainly get into like Sun Belt and the Mountain West and all that stuff and be a top tier. Maybe not win it every year, but be a top tier team in it. We just happen to be in the biggest, baddest ass, most depth league in the country.
Mm-hmm.
And as that depth of the SEC continues, it makes it harder and harder to be a mediocre team.
Well, I mean, that's the whole argument, you know, with Clemson. It's like, yeah, they get up and play for the big games, but all their people are fucking healthy because they don't have to play the big games throughout the season.
And then they've laid an egg this year, and so they're out of the conversation. What is it? Wake Forest? It's the only undefeated team left in the ACC.
Yeah. They look pretty good today.
And so they'll have to make a run. Hawkeyes won today. That was nice. They made it stressful.
I didn't see that game.
I took Iowa just for your dad. Not really.
I'm sure he appreciates it.
I liked Iowa to beat Penn State by a field goal.
You should take Ohio State for my dad, though.
No,
he's just lived in Iowa.
Well,
he's a Hawkeye fan.
I took the over in that Ohio State game, and that was good. I had a pretty solid day today. Overall, didn't hit any boards, but I just say, like I said, I think college football has a problem in general, and we get free cookies.
From where?
Moonshine Cookie Company or something like that.
Who is that? Like, I don't even know what that is. I just saw them eating cookies on TV, and I was like, "What the?"
Yeah, so I don't know the kid's name, but number 2 defensive back for UT's has the name and likeness. Like he is a spokesperson for this cookie company.
Is that okay now? Is that allowed?
Mm-hmm. That's all that's allowed as far as paying players.
So they can get sponsorships. Can Nike sponsor players now?
I think they can, but I think that it still has to be inside the team rules because, we're a Nike school now, but we were an Adidas school. Yeah. So if Adidas came to some kid and said, "Hey, we want to sponsor you," he could take that deal, but he can't wear Adidas on the sideline. I would assume. But
so are there any major players sponsored by Nike right now?
I don't know. That's a good question. But so yeah, he's a spokesperson for this cookie company, and they had a promo if he gets an interception, that it's 2 free cookies for everybody.
So how do we get our cookies?
I don't know. Go down there. We got to go down there. I know there's one on. There's a place right there on campus, but I thought it was like Nocturnal Cookies or something like that. I might be conflating different ones. And but it was like a cookie place. Like it was a little cookie bakery that was open till 4 in the morning, 5 in the morning. So it's like, let's go get hammered.
Yeah, there's one close by.
And on our way home, get some cookies.
We're across from Chili's.
Is there?
Yeah.
Oh. So anyway, because I heard the what's his name from the basketball team, center white kid.
Rick Barnes. Oh, never mind.
He's got a deal with Pals, and apparently Pals is trying to put 2 in Knox County, and so as part of their moving into Knox County, they bought a basketball player, for lack of a better word.
Pals.
Yeah,
I've only eaten them once.
Everybody talks them up. I haven't tried them yet.
Oh, they're good. Gotta get the Frenchy fries.
The Frenchy fries.
Frenchy fries.
So the Morristown's the closest one.
No, there's one before Morristown, like in
Jefferson City.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's probably the closest.
Yeah, one of the guys I work with, he's like, every time I go up there, because he has to go up there for route. Like every time, at least once a week when I'm up there, I get some Pals. Like, so he's like, you got to do it. Like, oh, okay. Next time I'm up there, I'll get some Pals.
Drive-through only.
Is it?
Yeah.
It's like a cookout with smaller footprint, less shit on the menu, no inside.
There's one store up in like Kingsport that has an indoor dining. I think
Really?
it's like one of like the only ones they have.
Well, it's tiny. It's real tiny. It's kind of thing. It's like you drive in, order. When you get around the other side, your shit's ready.
Right, and you book it out of there. Well, anyway, that's our sports news, everybody.
And your fast food news.
But I don't know. Like I said, I think there's a problem. I think college football just has a general problem, and I don't think that Tennessee being a better team and a better product for the fans to go see changes the overall problems that college football has. So, no, you were in Caraco?
Carousel.
Same thing.
Well, yes, if you pronounce carousel wrong.
Tomato, potato. That's anyway.
Yes. Was you in Carousel? An island, part of the Netherlands.
Really? Did not know that part.
Yeah, it's the money is actually a guilder. It's the Antilles guilder.
I was about to say I had some guilders. I would have given them to you to take to spend.
Yeah, but it's not the actual guilder. It's a little bit different variation. But man, those people so the history of Carousel. It was a Dutch colony that basically brokered the slave trade for the United States. Like the ships would stop there, slaves, and like it's funny because the Dutch people are like, oh, we've never owned slaves. Well, it's technically you never owned slaves.
Right,
you just facilitate the transaction of slaves, like kind of thing. So there's much. So
right, it's like FedEx. FedEx doesn't own your package or the contents of it. They just move it for you.
Yeah.
There's actually legal stuff in there, like especially in like higher end freight stuff when you're looking at like you order like like you're a farmer and you order a combine or whatever. Like there's contract stuff on when the actual ownership takes place, on whether it's like it's a case tractor that you're getting delivered to your farm. It can be written as it's Case's property until delivery, so that if something happens, it's Case's insurance that has to pick it up. Or it can be written as soon as it's signed for, it is now yours, and so the transportation and stuff like that is all on your dime, and or in case if something happens, it's your insurance that has to pick it up. Like it's very specific, and so I bring that up just because I'm assuming that was the same. It's probably the same functional thing that was happening.
Well, I mean, I just think it's silly to go like, oh, we've never owned slaves, but like,
right? We just moved the tractor.
Yeah.
I did not mean to make that joke, but it works.
Exactly. So like that was funny. But so most of the people like in Carousel are either dark skin black or dark skin Hispanic. But the most amazing thing, majority of those people speak 4 languages. Like,
I mean, all they do is tourism now, right? Like that's their 99% of their existence.
It is a lot of tourism, but like it is, if you're out by the bar or whatever, the entertainment staff that's doing karaoke that night, or some kind of fun game like Battle of the Sexes where they get people up there and do this stuff, and this dude would be like, say a phrase in English, say a phrase in Dutch, say a phrase in Spanish, say a phrase in Papiamentu, which is their native language, which is a combination between Dutch and Spanish with a little bit of English kind of thing in there. But like without missing a beat, these motherfuckers just blah, 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 blah. And someone come up and talk to them, and they would just like switch languages. So I was like, damn, these guys are smart. Like, it's I don't know. It was strange that how everybody spoke multiple languages. Like, didn't meet a single person that did not speak at least 3.
It's crazy. It's super.
But it was cool, beautiful. Swam with sea turtles. That was cool.
Swimming with sea turtles.
Yeah.
Your wife have her tail on?
She did. We got some video. Actually, we were following these sea turtles, and she had her tail on, and she dove down to get with the sea turtle, and there were some divers down there that were like with these big old professional cameras, like taking pictures of these sea turtles and stuff. And like she dove down there, and the guy like turned his camera to the right and was like cha-ching, ching, ching, taking pictures of Jennifer and her mermaid tail as she's swimming down to the turtle. I was like, that's hilarious.
You better pay up, suckers.
Yeah,
it's a professional. You can give that shit for free. She retired from her professional mermaid gig, though, right? Did I understand that correctly?
No. It just ended. Like their season ends.
Yeah, she just did post like last day, and I wasn't sure if that meant last day ever.
No, that just happened to be the last day she worked for the season. They're only open during the summertime.
Right.
For her.
Okay, well, see, you might need to text her. Not the same conversation when you called in the other day, where you were talking about the finances of somebody that she helps with. But Sam and I were talking last week, 2 weeks ago, about whether Ripley's is subsidized the way aquarium of the smoke or the Tennessee Aquarium down in Chattanooga. Because
no idea.
Yeah, because the conversation was that the story I heard on it was the developer that built the aquarium of the Tennessee Aquarium down in Chattanooga originally came to Knoxville. They wanted to do it here in the city or county or the combination of, similar to the baseball project, didn't play ball. They're like, no, we can't do that. Or no, that doesn't work for us or whatever. And so then they went down to Chattanooga, and that's how Chattanooga did whatever they wanted them to do. And so now it's down in Chattanooga.
So they get part of the tax money for
right.
it.
So somewhere in that, there's some special tax district kind of thing, like the World's Fair hotel thing is now for us, or the baseball stadium will be if this does what it's supposed to do, and all that kind of jazz. And so I'm curious if Ripley's has got anything, because I don't know. I guess my assumption is that the Pigeon Forge Gatlinburg, they're past that threshold where they've already built the value on why you as an entertainment person would want to put your business there.
Yeah, they don't have to do incentives.
Right. Why would I give that? So I'm curious if that's something that's happened down there. Again, not that she would know that from being a mermaid for him, but I just find it interesting because it's not a bad aquarium. It's not huge, but
I was somewhere recently. Oh shit! And like they had a really cool, like downtown, but like half the businesses were like shut down and like boarded up. And I was thinking, this could be a very nice tourist kind of thing, but with half the businesses closed and boarded up and for sale, you can't make it. And I was like, the city should do some incentive, whether it's, rent free or whatever, to get businesses to come down there to build up. I can't remember where I was at. And I was like, this would make like a little cool little town. I'm trying to think of a city that you guys would know of.
Like Waverly all flooded out, like that little downtown kind of thing?
No, more of an area that would be where tourists are already going by near, like Asheville. You go to Asheville and their downtown area is very, very cool, but it's small. It was something like that. I was like, this would make a great tourist area, but all these shops are closed and not open, and like, why is the city not putting an incentive here to bring businesses in here to attract
more stuff? Right.
More stuff. So
I'd be interested if you remember that. I'd be curious to look into it.
I have to think about where I've gone,
because I get it on some level and I don't at the same time. Like, I think it's a weird. I think it's a very case by case kind of conversation. You can't just say, yes, we should incentivize X, Y, or Z, or no, we shouldn't. I think it's a very case by case kind of thing. And I think I'm curious, and we'll see if any of it comes to fruition with some of these new city reps, if we get any new city reps after this election and stuff like that. But there's conversation about kind of, instead of doing like $1 million tax incentive or something like that for a company to come in and bring 100 employees, doing $10,000, $100,000 in things that each company does like 10 or 15 employees. Because, it makes sense to me that you spread that out a little bit. No, you're not going to have one big company, but if that one big company doesn't get through or doesn't get to do what they're trying to do there, so something falls through, you now lose all that tax money, and those 100 or so employees don't have jobs, where more than likely, if you have 10 different companies sprout up, a handful of them, 50%-ish, should at least survive. So you at least keep half of that incentive to function. But Smith & Wesson's going to Maryville. That's exciting.
Really? I didn't see that.
Yeah, their corporate headquarters coming down here. They're from Massachusetts?
I can't remember.
Massive T-shits?
I think they came out of Massachusetts or Connecticut or one of them.
Yeah, I'm trying to think where I was recently that I was like, this would be a cool area. It's
Murfreesboro?
No.
I think you were in Nashville in that neighborhood.
Yeah, I was also in Cincinnati recently. well, outside Cincinnati. Renaissance Festival. That's why I'm wondering if it was one of these little towns I drove through.
Like Cincinnati, Kentucky, like the part that's on this side of the river is all.
No, Cincinnati, Ohio.
I know, but it's a Cincinnati. It's still Cincinnati and
Covington.
The Covington. That's what
Covington, yeah.
That was my joke. Is the Kentucky side of it being less developed because it's Kentucky and not Ohio.
Yeah, you drive right across that bridge and it's like Cincinnati.
Yeah.
Which, okay, so you can call me retarded if you want. But we were driving past the Reds Stadium.
Okay.
Do you know what? They're not the Reds. Do you know what they are? Do you? Baseball fans?
I'm not a baseball fan.
I don't know, look at me.
Mr. Milwaukee Brewers.
I know I'm wearing my Brewers hat. I was going to rub it into AC because they beat Atlanta last night, but then they lost tonight, so they're 1-1 in that series. But
so on their stadium, it says the Red Stockings.
So they're Red Sox.
They're the Cincinnati Red Stockings. That is their name.
I mean, it's not out of character for the sport.
No, but I was like, how have I never known? And so I had to Google search it. Like, why does it say Red Stockings on their? They're the Red Stockings. Everyone calls them the Cincinnati Reds, but they're the Cincinnati Red Stockings.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be weird if you called them the Chicago Whites. That wouldn't go over very well.
The Chicago Whites.
But yeah, I mean, I'm not surprised by it. I just think it's interesting that at least like in official, like, you know, like when it's on ESPN and they're talking about it, it'd be like, you know,
how's that never came up?
I'm sure it has. That sounds like
how much we've never ever heard Red Stockings.
That sounds like a Chris Berman kind of thing, that he would be the only guy on the network because that's just Chris Berman in a nutshell.
Ah, the Red Stockings, come back!
And the Red Stockings for the win.
I wonder how much all those extra letters cost, though, to put up on the outside.
Exactly.
You can just leave it at Reds.
Didn't even have to do it. So.
Yeah, I was tripped out about that. I was like, stockings, and of course Jennifer was like, I thought the Red Sox were in Boston. And I was like,
yes, those are socks.
These are
stockings.
These are stockings.
So it's a women's team. That was bad. I'm sorry.
So now anybody that's a Reds fan, I'm gonna make fun of them.
Yeah, for being ladies, for wearing ladies
ladies stockings. I want to really find out how many people that are Reds fans know that.
Well, I mean, there's an easy one locally that I do all the time, and it's like, what is UT's fight song? What did you do?
Oh, I can hear. Like I have my ears now.
I didn't do anything. What happened?
No, I just sat up and tweaked something, but now I'm
highly professional system here.
Yes.
More work. But so yeah, what is UT's fight song?
I didn't go to UT.
Okay.
Oh, don't look at me.
I'm just saying, like that, like you want a fun little bar trivia question when you walk up to people that are like, "Oh, I'm a hardcore UT fan." It's like, what's their fight song?
It's not Rocky Top.
It's not Rocky Top.
Right.
It's actually really easy to remember too. It's Fight Vols Fight.
Fight Vols Fight.
Mm-hmm. They play it. They
I'm sure you've played it 100 times.
Yeah. It's a fun. It's in 3, so it's got a little swing to it. Dun 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 dun.
Yeah. Fight, balls, fight.
Yeah. Which is interesting, and another one, like while we're on the topic at least, is so pregame, UT's pregame. You know, they do the whole show pregame thing, and like part of the pregame, they go to the one corner and we face the visiting fan section and we play their fight song to them. And percussion is the same thing. Nothing changed. It's the exact same. Like I don't know anybody else's fight song in the entire SEC, but I played all of them because it's the same exact thing. Same format, everything's exactly the same. For me, or for percussion was at least. I mean, obviously, you know, horns and stuff, it's a little different. But.
You know, I've been to other games, other stadiums and stuff like that, and they have their like alma mater or whatever that they sing, and everybody like locks arms.
Mm-hmm.
And
we have that here.
I've never seen it.
It's the Tennessee Waltz. Do it every game, end of the game. It's the last thing we do.
Does anybody know the words? Because like the other stadiums, it seems like everybody is singing the song.
I don't know the words, but we did. That was the last thing. Like that was like I always thought like at home games. I always thought that was weird. Like at away games, we always traveled everywhere together. Like we went to the buses together, stuff like that. Home games, we play the Tennessee Waltz, and then you just leave. You can go home. You can go straight to your apartment, go to where your car is, and throw your instrument in the back of your car and go home. Like, I mean, percussion goes back to the band building because we put our drums back. But if I wanted to, I could take it home and then bring it back later. Like, but so like,
I always thought that was strange. Like, you'd leave in a UT game,
the band's just walking around.
You just see like some girl walking with her flute, like down the road.
Yeah.
Like,
They just let us go, and we're
where's
just
she going?
Yeah. I always thought that was weird. Is that like we marched down together. Obviously, we did the salute to the hill and the whole pregame, march to the stadium and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, we finished the Tennessee Waltz. See you guys at in band class on Monday. It's like, all right, that was that. So we just go wherever we go. It's great. It's good times. Band was the best. UT was good. UT was a better product back then too. But I don't know. What's been going on? What's new and exciting?
Do we have any politics or who's getting arrested or who's getting elected or any of that stuff going on that we need to talk about?
I mean, we can talk about it. AC sent over that. Did you read that Twitter story he sent over? I had it pulled up.
The one about the kids.
Yeah,
getting arrested.
Didn't read it.
Yeah, so
I didn't understand that. I saw his little thing and I was like,
I read through it.
They
So
arrested an 8-year-old because she didn't stop a fight.
So essentially, in Rutherford County, Rutherford County has this judge lady hates kids apparently and likes to arrest kids. Like there's this chart that it was in. This thread is from Ken Armstrong on Twitter. It's @by Ken Armstrong. If you guys want to check him out later. But he has this whole 10-part tweet. 23-part tweet. He is with the ProPublica.org. I'm sure it's in an actual story format there instead of just tweet after tweet after tweet. But yeah, essentially, there's Rutherford County they have the largest percentage of juvenile arrests and incarceration in the state. Apparently, there's I can't remember what they call it, but it's essentially the Good Samaritan law, where people are fighting and you're not doing anything to stop it. You're criminally accountable to that. So apparently there was this fight at a school, and they went in and arrested 4 black girls, the youngest being 8 years old, for not stopping a fight.
What the Good Samaritan thing is to protect people from helping, not charge people for not helping.
All right.
That's not it doesn't make sense. I don't know how. If my 8-year-old daughter saw a fight at school and went to break it up, I'd be like, "What the fuck are you doing? Stay out of that shit."
Right.
Yeah, I've heard of depraved indifference, where if there was a fight and somebody was just laying there bloody unconscious and you just walked away instead of actually calling 911, when you knew that person was hurt badly enough, you were just like, whatever, maybe they'll survive.
Right, and the story doesn't go into the specifics of whatever, but the quote is watching some boys fight and not stopping them. That was the crime that these 4 girls were arrested for. But apparently it's a regular practice in Rutherford County. They do it all the time and have a huge number of kids, and they have a significantly larger number of kids that go through their penal system.
Well, I don't think the race has anything to do with it. You could leave that out of it, and it's still fucked up.
I agree.
I don't.
I mean, then that's a question that I guess it never answers in it. It never talks about the fact that this judge lady. It I guess to me it puts the inference that this judge lady only does it to black kids, but it doesn't say that anywhere else in the conversation. It just kind of infers it just from that headline.
From the beginning, you assume that they're just arresting black kids,
right? And so, it's something that's happening right here.
Well, get Ken Armstrong on the phone.
Oh yeah, I slide into those DMs. Well, I'll get AC on it. He's our Twitter guy.
That's funny.
Trying to get Ron McPherson back in. Let's back up. I guess I think the biggest kind of news story on our end that's happened recently is that address that Mr. Lee put out on Friday. Anybody catch that?
Who wants to tell us about it?
I mean, essentially, it was basically he is putting forth an initiative to have a serious look at how we fund schools. It's essentially what it is. He's not promising a timeline, but he's promising to go through the process of truly looking at how we currently fund schools and how we could be doing it better. There's a lot of little like voucher code that it was in the statements where it's like, giving parents more choice and getting parents more involvement in their process for their kids' schooling and this, that, and the other. So there's a lot of implied parts and pieces about vouchers, which Governor Lee's been a pro voucher guy. He ran on it, and it's not a new concept for him. And so,
we talked about the whole voucher thing, and part of me says I think that's a really cool thing. If you want to homeschool your kids, you get a tax credit, that's the only way I could see. I don't think the state's going to write you a check, so it's got to be some kind of...
I think they call it a school, like an education savings account is what they call it, is what a lot of the versions call it, where it's basically, here's a sum of money, and you can only spend it with something that falls under this bracket.
And so, there's that savings, which is cool, but my problem is a majority of people that are going to take advantage of that system, system good, is people that already can afford to send their kids to a private school,
right? And
now they're going to get $5,000 back per kid or whatever that number comes out to, and it's like, well, now it's mainly a way for wealthy people to.
It's a subsidy for the people that can already afford it.
Exactly, that's the only problem I see with it, right? Because the people that cannot afford to put their kids in private school and pay that money, how many of those people are going to go, let me take that money and put it into private school? They're going to be like, no, I'll just go to public school. They're not going to...
I think it depends on a lot of parts and pieces, but I 100% follow what you're saying on it. I just think, I think of some sort of voucher style system should potentially have a better incentive program for the people that actually matter. A school board will start mattering more, but more specifically, your principals and your teachers start mattering more, because you need students to get your money. It's just that simple. And I think another thing that I think is a misleading part of the argument that a lot of people have talked about in voucher stuff in the past is that whatever school, if you are a Knox County parent, whatever school your kids are in, if you take your kid out of that school loses the funding for your kid. So this argument about, we can't take money out of public schools to put it into this voucher thing, it's like, well, we're not. Well, it depends on exactly how it breaks down. But the state of Tennessee puts X number of dollars at Rocky Hill for each of my kids. Or at least it puts X number of dollars into Knox County schools, and the Knox County school separates that into Rocky Hill. If I pull my kids out this semester, starting in January next semester, Rocky Hill will get that much less money. Or again, I'm not 100% on how it fully breaks down, but Knox County schools at least will get that much less money from the state, because the amount of money the schools get is based on enrollment.
But also the question is,
but it's not still there. So it's not like, again, let's just say for the sake of conversation, it's $5,000 a kid. So I get 2 kids. It's $10,000 in Knox County schools. I don't know where that money goes, but it doesn't go into the schools from the state. The state keeps that money, whether they spend it on something else, send it to a different school district.
Or is it based on, if it is, say, $10 million a school district has in Knox County to spend on schools, they divide that up per child that is enrolled in Knox County, and so that amount is split evenly amongst the schools. So when you take your 2 kids out,
the denominator goes down, so the slice of the pie gets bigger. No.
So that's the question is, so Rocky Hill gets less money because you took 2 kids out, but the amount of money per child goes up. It still nets less money, but the money is still there. That's. I
don't think that's the case. My understanding of it is that, again, if we're using $5,000 as simple math, is that if, let's say, just for simplicity's sake, Rocky Hill has 100 students, they get $5,000 a kid, so that's $5,500, $5 million. Fuck, whatever the math is. What's that? Is that math right? 100 times 5,000. 500,000. So they have $500,000. They have $500,000 to spend on those 100 kids. If I take my 2 kids out, they now have $490,000 to spend on that that student body that is now 98.
But the question I have is, does that $10,000 that you took your kids out spread across the whole entire school system?
I don't believe so, because the state doesn't send it to the school system. The state takes it out. It's not Knox County Schools not distributing it to Rocky Hill. It's the state not distributing it to Knox County Schools.
Okay, so the state is given Knox County Schools a dollar amount per child enrolled.
More or less, yeah.
Not
it's more
here's $10 million
right,
split
no.
between your schools.
Because again, like the way the school budget and funding works is it's like they build their budget off of what they predict they're going to earn. And so essentially right now we're in October. Sales tax revenue from August, maybe even July, is what's funding the budget now. It's not that there is, Knox County Schools is like $600 million-ish a year is what their total budget is this year. It's not that there's an account with $600 million in it and they get to take out and take out and take out. It's we think over the next fiscal year, we're going to bring in $600 million for school stuff, and then they make their budget to fit.
It's that whole president budget kind of thing that is like, hey, if we cut this, we save $10 million over the next 5 years. So let me spend that $10 million right now.
Yeah, something like that. I don't know. Again, like the point of bringing that up though is that it's not a fair assessment to say that we're taking money. I take my kid out of school. We're taking money out of the public school systems regardless. Whether I take my kid out and put him in private school because I have a voucher to put him in the private school, or whether I take my kid out and homeschool him, it doesn't matter. I take my kid out of Knox County Schools. I'm taking money out of Knox County Schools. It doesn't matter where I'm going with them. And if the state gives me a check to spend on my kid's schooling that isn't the public school, it's not theoretically it's not subtracting from how much the schools have in their budget anyway. Now that may change if we put a voucher system in place. It depends on how they set it all up. But again, for conversation's sake, I think it's an inaccuracy that a lot of people like to throw out in conversation, and I don't like. I think that's an important little pin to make sure is pushed correctly, because it's not a valid argument to say we're taking money out of schools. It's like, well, we're taking kids out of schools, so yes, we're taking money out of schools, but it's not that there's a voucher. And that's that.
I gotcha.
But so I don't know. I applied to be on the committee for the new school funding conversation. See how that goes.
You won't get it. You didn't get the last board you tried to apply for.
Yeah, I know. I'm probably not. I'm not driving to Nashville to stand before for a hearing to sell myself on it either when it comes up to it, because I'll probably be halfway through and be like, "You have that podcast?" Yeah, I do, and I intend to use this as much content as I can. No, thank you. You're out.
It's public access.
I mean, it is. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think if you want to get down to at least since we've started paying attention and I've started looking into stuff, depending on how this goes, this could be the most significant fundamental shift in government and politics in the state of Tennessee, depending on how this goes out. In all of it, it's not for the whole thing, everything we do in the state of Tennessee, I think this could be the largest functional change in how we exist as a state, depending on how this goes. Because it could come down to a significantly larger investment in the school systems, which is going to change taxing and all sorts of other shit with it. It could be some weird voucher thing, which is going to change the entire landscape of how schools work, which has huge economic impact on the other side of it too. And then what the point of schools is supposed to be, it completely changes what our high school grads become in the state of Tennessee. Could make them better, could make them worse. I don't know, but I think this is the largest single item that I've seen since we've started doing the show that could make the biggest difference in what we do in the state of Tennessee. I don't know. I
don't really get the sense that there's a major change coming. But could be wrong.
I mean, the pushback I've gotten from those that know better than me is that this is a politics game. This is Governor Lee kind of ran on this, kind of made it a thing, just like Trump ran on ending the wars and didn't really make it an important issue until the end of his term. So now it's vote me back in so I can finish what I started. And this is one of Governor Lee's things that he ran on in the first place. So it backburnered. In fairness, it kind of got forced to backburner because of COVID and stuff like that. But it got backburnered for whatever reason, and now he's gearing up for another campaign cycle. So he's putting this issue on the table.
Yeah, I kind of get the feeling it's more of put something out there like, hey, we're going to dig into where the money's going with the schools.
Just
Make it seem like we're doing something.
Just legalize marijuana.
I agree. That's another one.
And
If
put
I get
all
on,
that tax towards schools.
if I get on a committee, that'll be part of my bullet points. I think it's stupid. I think it's so dumb that we're going to wait till it's federally legal and then we're going to suffer for it.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to suffer hard for it, and for what? Like, from as far as I could tell, it's not. It is as close to complete apathy as anything. Nobody cares. Just nobody's going to get elected on it. Nobody's going to vote or not vote for you on that one issue.
Mm-hmm.
Because you may be pro-pot, but you're also pro-choice, so the pro-choice thing's more important to me, so I'm not going to vote for you. Or you're not pro-choice, whatever. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The big issues that matter, that get people out to vote, is not going to be pot. It's going to be the other stuff attached to the people. And in the state of Tennessee, the pro-pot left side doesn't win any elections anyway. So why would, as a right-winger, would you run on a pro-pot stance? I mean, because it's the right thing to do, but that's not what politicians do. We know that. So there's no incentive for them to do so, other than it's the right thing to do, and that's not enough of an incentive.
Yeah, because someone's like, "What's your feeling on marijuana?" They're like, "Well, I don't have a problem with it."
Right.
And then you kind of cross it off the list, and you don't have to run on a pro-pot platform to not to turn away votes.
Right. And I mean, yeah, and I could see how you could make it a big part of your platform, and you could make it a winnable issue, because you make it not about pot, you make it about schooling, you make it about infrastructure. You make it, we're going to get legal pot in here, and that tax revenue is going to get us more schools, bigger schools, repairing on schools. We're going to get new roads, we're going to get better infrastructure stuff. And that's, you could make it as little about pot as possible, and on real world issues that everybody actually cares about. And it still is not going to win because you're pro-choice.
Well, have you heard anything about Detroit being bankrupt? Not since they legalized marijuana,
Right. Right. Well, what is it? Where's Michigan? Ann Arbor?
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Detroit is Michigan. Yeah.
No, I'm just saying, but Ann Arbor's has decriminalized everything.
Huh.
I think it's Ann Arbor. I'm pretty sure it's Ann Arbor. It's not Detroit. Pretty sure Ann Arbor and Portland.
Yeah, or Oregon, the whole state of Oregon.
Or the whole state of Oregon.
They've decriminalized
small amounts of everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is, I don't know. I remember having this argument with you, Sam, probably 10 years ago about decriminalization and how I cannot get behind that as a premise. I hate it. It's do or do not. Like, I hate the idea of having a not illegal but not legal substance that you're allowed to go and do stuff with. I was like, pay your taxes like everybody else. I got to pay my taxes on my beer. You need to pay your taxes on your weed. That's like, decriminalize is like, it's like, I want the best of both worlds. I want to get what I want. I want to get it from my buddy who got a good hookup on it, but I don't want to pay taxes on it. Like, no. Get it from a reputable person that has a business license, collects taxes, and pays your taxes. Or keep it illegal. No halfway.
When my brother and sister-in-law in Colorado, when they legalized marijuana, I was like, like 6 months into it, I was like, oh, how are the dispensaries? And they're like, oh, we still get it from the guy we always got it from. Like, it's just cheaper and, blah, 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 all that kind of stuff. And then, fast forward a year, and it's like, are you guys still using your dude? No. We go to dispensaries. It's a lot easier. Like, you can just go and pick up your shit and pay for it and leave. Even though it's a little more expensive, it's more convenient. So it's like,
I don't have to meet up with them.
Yeah, you're like, hey, where are you at? I need some stuff. Like,
right.
You can just go and buy this shit.
Well, that's like me right now with the bookie. Like, I still gamble illegally, even though it's legal. Like, well,
that's because he lives down the street.
That's true. It's because it's easy. It is both. It's not any cheaper. I don't know if it's any cheaper or not. I haven't gone on to any of the BetMGM or whatever to see, because there's got to be some fees in there somewhere. Because I'm curious how the tax break out with that works. Like, there's got to be something that the state of Tennessee's get.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't have BetMGM, but I do have.
If I'm going to do
FanDuel,
if I do it, I'm going to do the Barstool book. Barstool Sports has one.
Barstool.
Yeah.
I do that. I've been on that one, but the neat thing is like, for me, being a not so smart gambler, it's cool to go, what? I can bet on the first quarter?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you can't get your local bookie to be like, hey, give me a line on the first quarter.
Yeah.
Like, there's so many different things you can bet on on that. You're like, I want to bet on this game straight out. I want to put it in a parlay with this game with points. Like, your bookie's not gonna, your local guy is not going to give you all these crazy.
Yeah, all the weird live
shit.
betting and stuff like that. Like, that's fun. And like, that's what's usually like. My guy's got it's a website. I'm not going to say it out loud, but it's a website. It's just not an official website per se. And so like, it does all that stuff too.
Oh, it doesn't.
Yeah, and so it's just like, I mean, it's like the poker app that we use. Same kind of premise.
Same thing.
Yeah. You know, it's just tokens. It's all tokens. We're playing with tokens. Probably ought not do that. And then see if I can get Jimmy J.J. Jones in the show.
Tokens. Just tokens.
Just tokens. Play with tokens. And pride. I play for pride. I want to win. But anyway, yeah. So again, like I said, I think this is potentially the most world-changing. I think this could be the most significant change we have in Tennessee if anything comes from it. But like I said, it could very much be one of those, let's get people riled up because we got an election coming up. Let's get a topic that everybody's going to get excited about, and that this is something that we can put our stamp on, and this makes us different from them, and then this is us and them fighting, this, that, and the other. So we'll see what comes of it. Like I said, I'm curious about it. I'm going to keep up with it. The fun of the show for me is I immediately, like as soon as I finish the press conference, I immediately text Daniel Watson from school board, Christy from school board, Jennifer Owens from school board. I was like, do you see this thing from Governor Lee or whatever? You know, what do you make of it? And it's like a couple of them like, I haven't seen it yet, but I heard about it. I haven't got a chance to watch it or get the breakdown of it or anything. And then like a couple hours later, a couple of them text me back. It's like, yeah, man, this could be this. And then they start coming in with like the history that they know of how some of the things like this work. And it's like, you know, and then like I got into it. Me and Jesse were going back and forth from the compass about it. And then I was like, I hate that my gut reaction to something like this could be the biggest positive change in how we look at funding schools and stuff like that. And my gut reaction is, how bad are they going to fuck this up? And he was like, that's always a valid question to ask. I was like, yeah, I know. So it's like I said, I'm excited about it for the format of the show, for content on the show, for stuff to talk about. But I'm also like, I think it's important. I think it's something that we could make some changes to, that could make some real functional, down to earth changes in our day-to-day lives as parents, our day-to-day lives as community members and stuff like that, as businesses. Like, I mean, I bitch all the time. Like, I tell Kayla can't write a check stories to every school board member. I'm like, that blows my mind. I understand we don't write checks anymore. It's not that big a deal. But like the soft skills stuff.
That was Brandy.
It was both of them. It was specifically Kayla when I was there. I was with Kayla when it happened.
Yeah. Okay.
Either way, but multiples. It does. Yes. It proves the point. I mean, it proves the point then that it's like, you know, they're like, it's soft skill stuff. Like, show up to work on time. You know, figure out how to do a personal budget so that you're not coming to me as the boss because you need a raise, because you can't pay your bills, because you got an apartment that's more expensive than you can afford. You're coming to me and asking for a raise because you feel like you're worth it.
Yeah.
You know, stuff like that I don't see in a lot of the younger kids. And this is my old man moment, and get off my lawn or whatever you want to call it. But I don't see that in a lot of the younger people that we interview for the job. Like, I don't see, you know, just the innate, I have to be on time for work. Like, it's not okay for me to be late to work, not because they said it was or wasn't. I just have to be on time. There's something inside me that says that. Mm-hmm. I don't know where I got that. Probably more from my parents than I did from the school system. But, you know, stuff like that we're not kicking out in our graduates, because it seems fairly consistent to me that a lot of these things are what's falling through the cracks. And it's like, you know, yeah, I get it. It's not Pythagorean's theorem or anything, but how often do you use Pythagorean's theorems, and how often do you need to figure out if you can pay your bills or not with how much I'm paying you to work for me?
Yeah.
Which one's more important to you in a day-to-day life? I would go with the latter. I mean,
I know what onomatopoeia is, but I don't know how to write a check.
Yeah, I mean, I can tell you parts of speech. But again, I think it's not to say that those other things aren't important either, but I think that's like it's I don't know. Like, I always ask the question, it's like, what is a human being that's graduated from a Tennessee high school, supposed to be? Like, what are they supposed to be capable of? What do we expect them to be able to do? You know, and I think, like, you know, and a lot of it's like, you know, college prep, and I mean, they got a lot of I think they call it CTE, all the technical career training, you know, like HVAC, electricians, plumbers, stuff like that, which is good and important stuff, but it's like they're starting that process before they graduate. But then they're skipping this other stuff. And so, like, the German model that we've talked about a bunch, which I think is valid, is that you make that, and I think that's some of the stuff they're working into, is that you're starting to make a more focused shift around like your freshman, sophomore year, where it's, am I going to go to college? And so am I going to do college classes? You know, and there's some cool stuff where, like there's some partnerships between Knox County schools and Pellissippi and UT and some other, and like some of the other smaller universities around town, where you can go and take classes at Pellissippi and it can count as your English credit or whatever for your senior year in high school, but you're also getting college level credits so that when you do start college, you're 6, 8, 10, 12 credits in, which if that's your direction, that's cool. And I like the idea that we're starting to push that up. But again, it's like, where are these lines in age and preparedness need to be? And then what are we skipping?
Well, you know, it's like foreign language. Like, America does not care about foreign language. And outside of America, there is not a person in the world that graduates high school at the least and doesn't speak multiple languages. Like, they're 100%, if you went to college anywhere in the world, you speak multiple languages.
Yeah, I think a lot of European countries, like, English is a requirement and an additional, like, essentially that would be their third language.
The third language, yeah. I mean, English goes, like, if you graduate any college in the world, do you speak English?
Right. I get you.
You know? And most of them have multiple languages. It's like, you know, just in Carousel, we were talking about the multiple languages. They said that they learn English in kindergarten, and we know that if we don't speak English, it's hard for us to get a job. So there's an emphasis on knowing a foreign language. And, you know, us stupid Americans are like, oh, I don't need to learn a language because everybody speaks English.
I mean, it's true, but...
But it's absolutely true, but...
Okay, but again, just to kind of illustrate my point on it is, what is the value for yes, please, a fruit juice for me, if you don't mind. Where is the value to you as a student in the American system to learn a foreign language? Because legitimately, you're not likely to need it for the most part, unless China takes over. But then we're all fucked anyway, so it doesn't matter. But I mean, theoretically, like as you're highlighting, truly is that where is the value in that to you as a student? Why would you waste your time on that? Like realistically.
Well, there's a lot of situations where a foreign language could be very positive. I mean, there's still people that need translators, you know, for all sorts of jobs around the world. But
not universally, like, because I think that's the difference. So it's like, as you were saying, talking to the people in Curacao about it, is that like it was you learn English because you're gonna have a hard time finding work.
Oh, absolutely.
Now, as a kindergartner or first grader in Knoxville, Tennessee, nobody's going to say to you, you need to learn Spanish or you're going to have a hard time finding a job. Now, there are jobs out there as you get into it, and maybe you're one of the people that is good at multiple languages and enjoys multiple languages, and you can use that and turn that into a trade. But the need part of it, like as compared to Curacao, isn't here. You don't have that need.
You don't have that need here. I agree with you 100%. But like, you know, if you're more, you know, in Texas, in Arizona, in California, and stuff like that, being bilingual could help you out a ton, because you do have a bunch of people that are non-educated, that are coming to America that don't speak English. And so being a translator, because, you know, we can say that, you know, Spanish isn't our second language or primary language in the United States. There's a ton of people that don't speak English that are in America.
It's true. And we don't have an official language of this country anyway.
Right.
So.
Also, with a more globally connected world, I mean, right now, I mean, in business, you know, Mandarin is highly sought after.
Well, Mandarin is the number one first spoken language in the world, obviously, because they have population. But English is the most spoken for not total, not first language, but
but total languages.
Yeah.
They've also done many studies that, you know, children that know more than one language, or, you know, 2 or 3 languages, also just kind of have a better, like, abstract thinking, because you're thinking about a language with there being, you know, different translations. Just only gives you a different way of thinking, gives you kind of a different perspective.
I mean, I agree with you. I'm not trying to say we shouldn't use certain
Right.
languages as a thing. I'm just saying, like, but again, like, if you were going to set it up, if you were going to set up a school system and make a list of things that you want a graduate to have, like,
knowing the capital of Iceland would not be top priority.
Reykjavik.
But what I'm saying, like, I mean, we us growing up in school, we had to learn all the different capitals of the world and stuff like that, and but at the end of the day, I don't think that's as important as knowing a second language.
I can get on board with that. Again, I don't know. I get that this goes back to like our big abstract, like what is the government supposed to do kind of deals. I think that's a question that I think isn't asked enough as far as what do we expect our schools to do for our kids? What do we expect our kids to be after going through this thing? What do we want them to know? Because I think that goes into some of the least the sales pitch of the voucher program is that at least if I have a voucher thing, I can have a little bit of control over what I want my kids to know. What do I think? What do I think is important moving forward? Because at least those that are on board with the voucher thing in the programs are the ones that don't particularly like what we are doing as a school system, whether it's critical race theory that doesn't really exist in the school system, but sort of does kind of bullshit and all that kind of stuff. I don't want my kids learning critical race theory. I take them out of the school system. I don't think that's an accurate.
But how many parents are going to have that forethought and go to a school that they may take their voucher to put it towards and ask for a breakdown of their curriculum by grade?
I mean, the same ones that care about it now. It's just the ones that care about it now have no control, where the ones in the future would have some control of what to do with it.
I don't see that many parents
I agree.
going to the schools and be like, I want your curriculum for 5th grade through 9th grade.
Right. I'm not saying it's a large number, but I'm saying there is a set of people that has kids in school age kids or whatever that they want to know exactly what, where, how, all that kind of stuff, and has zero, just they can know it, but they can't do anything about it. They're stuck with what is given, and they're not okay with that. And so that's why that's who this voucher program would sell to, as well as the people that are wealthy enough to afford the kid, send their kids to private school. They just get a check back and don't have to pay for the whole thing anymore.
If I had a son, which you have 2 sons, I would put them in music lessons, guitar, bass, something. And I'd be like that Asian lady that makes them come home from school and learn the piano and like all that kind of shit, because we all sit in here know there's nothing fucking cooler than hanging out with some buddies and someone's like, oh, you got a guitar here? And the motherfucker picks it up and starts fucking playing. And you're like, that's cool as shit. You don't care if that guy knows Pythagorean theorem. You don't care if that guy can write an essay paper and knows the capital of Iceland. You're like, that's cool as fuck.
Agree. Again, agree. But a girl could do it too. Just be gender free. But
yeah, but we're talking about getting busy. Come on. Set your children up for success.
Again, I think I think the same rules would apply if a girl were so inclined to. She could learn how to play the guitar, impress a room full of people, and get pussy afterwards if that's what she wants.
Yes.
But
that's another thing. I mean, that's another thing I think that our school system does not press. The arts, the music,
right,
all that kind of stuff. I think we're making drones in school nowadays.
I mean, I think that's what we've been doing for decades. I think that's the way the U.S. school system was built, was to make drones. I
mean, we're not going to have any more Macklemores if we continue down this path.
I mean, you just have
did AC get here? When did AC get here?
You just have a number of people that have the same thing. Of your thoughts of geography and learning capitals. Those people have the same thoughts about music and the arts and, doing play and drama. They're like, why do kids need to learn that?
I think there's value. I think there is value in spreading it out and putting things in that, because some kid that doesn't, that for whatever reason really lands on really liking to know world geography and stuff like that and get into like world politics and gets into like, international politics or something like that because whatever about it when they started doing social studies and learning their world capitals and then doing the, deeper dives into who are the people that live in Reykjavik. That's what I said. It was close enough.
Redneck.
Yeah.
I'm from Redneck, Iceland.
Redneckville.
Yes, exactly. Anyway, that could be the thing that turns the kid towards their future path. And I'm fully on board with a well-rounded trying to get as many things in the early stages, but as the kid ages, starting to hone in on something more specific and stuff like that. Again, I like the German model as you've described it to me, at least. But no, the U.S. school system is built. Like, I can't remember who said it, but it's basically they want you smart enough to be able to read the instruction manual, but not smart enough to know how badly you're getting fucked.
Yeah, it's like periodic table.
Right.
How many times have you needed that in your life?
Again,
not known it. How many times you've needed it in your life?
Again, I've never personally. I mean, I guess we could. I mean, realistically, if we were more fully informed as our business is concerned, it could have some value to us. It wouldn't change. Would it change anything? Probably not a ton, but it could add value to what we do. To be fair, and again, I think there's value in at least an introduction to everything. And then, okay, well, you want to be a nurse? Okay, well, if you're going into nursing, you have to start doing some pharmacology stuff. Pharmacology stuff has a whole bunch of chemistry in it. I
think we just prepare kids to be good at Jeopardy. That's the whole point of schools.
That dude right now, like $1.5 million, he's killing it. Dude, so apparently the internet got pissed off at him. Did you guys follow this?
No idea what you're talking about.
No, I didn't. He said 1 point. I was like, okay, sure.
This guy's name's Matt Amodio. He's a 36-day champion right now. He's now the second longest running champion after Ken Jennings in Jeopardy history and he's at like $1.4 something million. But like he has a thing that he does that it is really annoying is that he does so it's Jeopardy, so you have to answer in the form of a question. Well, the Jeopardy rule, that's all the Jeopardy rule is. It doesn't have to be an accurate question. So it's like, what is I'm going to fuck it up. What is the capital of the capital of Iceland is, and you say, what is Reykjavik? Right. Well, he says what is for everything. So it's like, the lead singer from the Hendrix or from it was this guy and the Experience that played Woodstock and did the national anthem thing, and he would say what is Jimi Hendrix. He says what is for everything
instead of who is.
Right. He doesn't do it accurately to what the statement is, and so like a bunch of people got pissed off about it. And Jeopardy was like, yes, we understand, but the rule only states that it has to be in the form of a question. The question doesn't have to be grammatically correct.
Yeah. That's kind of funny.
But like everything is what is, and so it's like if it's a person, if it's a place, it's always what is. So
it's not where or who.
Right. And so it does, like he's amazingly good at the show, and he's fun to watch because he's good at it. But it really good, like it just kind of pokes you in the brain every time he says, "What is John Bolton?" It's like, what? It's a person. You say who? What are you doing?
That's funny.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
I probably would have not noticed until someone says something. I'd be like, "Damn it! Why did you say anything?" I would have never noticed.
No, because I remember watching him early on before it became a thing on the internet, and then I noticed it, but I was just like, I just assumed that it was, I mean, obviously they're giving him credit for the answer, so it's obviously within the rules. I wouldn't think it was a big deal. But so yeah, a bunch of people got mad about it, and Jeopardy came out and was like, just to clarify, here's how it works.
Well, maybe he's trying to be like politically correct and not
misgender
something. So it's just everything's what?
Yeah, everything's a they or them.
I would assume it's just
or an it.
Him just try like subconsciously like making sure he always puts any answer in the form of a question because it's not uncommon to see someone be like turkey. It's like, oh shit, I forgot to say like what is turkey.
Right. Well, but apparently in the first round of Jeopardy, they'll wait and give you a chance to correct yourself and say what is. But in Double Jeopardy, if you just say turkey, then it's wrong, and the person next to you goes, what is turkey? But I mean, I agree. I mean, it's a calculated strategy that he uses, and he just says what is to everything.
No, I have seen Jeopardy, which cracked me up, where the person said turkey, and they're like, "Oh, I'm sorry, that's incorrect." And then the next person says, "What is turkey?" Like, that's also incorrect. Like,
yeah,
the person answered the question wrong and wrong.
God, what was it the other night? There was one. It was this week. What was it? It's gonna drive me crazy. It was like so in Final Jeopardy, they'll allow misspellings.
Mm-hmm.
As long as you don't add a syllable, and I can't remember what the correct answer was, but like I knew the answer, but I said it in the way one of the guys misspelled it, which added the syllable, so I would have gotten it wrong because you could spell it wrong, it could be like a SH instead of a CH or something like that, and they'll let it go. But if you add an extra syllable, it's wrong, and so like they both had the same answer, but one added the syllable and it was wrong, and so.
Well, Alex Trebek would correct people on it. Well, that is Reykjavik, but Reykjavik is spelled with a C. You know,
Right, he would correct it, but you still got the answer.
Yeah.
You still got credit for the answer.
but he was an asshole because he would.
He was great.
correct
I miss him. Makes you sad.
Hmm.
But Maya Bialik's not bad. She's okay.
You know, I
thought it was
liked her.
fucked up.
I liked her on what's it called?
Blossom.
Well, I liked her on Blossom too. But,
Big Bang Theory.
Big Bang Theory. Better than I like her as a person outside. I've not watched her on Jeopardy, but I don't care for her on TikTok.
I don't follow her on TikTok, so I don't
Sorry if you're listening to this.
know. You can tag him and tell him how much you hate him. It was a bummer that what's his name from Reading Rainbow?
LeVar Burton.
Yeah, LeVar Burton.
Did you say Reading Rainbow and not Star Trek?
Yeah, because Reading Rainbow is way more important than Star Trek.
Totes.
His 2 weeks was during the Olympics, and so they were on, but not here. Like our local NBC didn't have Jeopardy during the Olympics. Like some other stations around the country still ran it, and so we were streaming it off YouTube. Again, me admitting crimes illegally. We were streaming it off of somebody that had their phone camera on their TV on YouTube or whatever, just to catch
Is
those
that illegal?
episodes. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Didn't know that.
Which YouTube usually shuts that shit down. I don't know why they were. I mean, I don't know how the person got around it, but
Because of Jeopardy.
maybe Jeopardy is a national
Like,
treasure.
they're streaming an educational TV
Right.
show.
Did they ever figure out what happened to Facebook and Twitter and Instagram?
I heard about it. I wasn't on much that
I
day,
didn't
so I
even
didn't see
notice.
anything. Yeah, I didn't.
I just heard the backlash.
Yeah, I know. I didn't know anything about it. I haven't heard any causation or anything like that.
The first one was like some kind of like background update. But then apparently it happened again yesterday.
What happened again yesterday?
I thought I saw a story today that was talking about it. That it went down again.
They're installing all the bots to watch you do everything you do.
I thought there was enough of like an online campaign to get LeVar Burton on Jeopardy.
There was a big push on it. Apparently, the original plan was, his guy that he was one of the executive producers of Big Bang Theory. He's also a producer on Jeopardy, and he hosted one of the early weeks after Alex left. And the original plan was he was going to be the main host, and then Maya Bialik was only going to do special episodes, and they were going to do a spin-off show that was some variation of Jeopardy, and she was going to host that, and like Tournament of Champions or Teen Jeopardy,
College Week,
Week, and stuff like that. And then there was a bunch of stuff about that, and so they ended up with just her. And I heard about it. Like, I mean, he was great.
Is she permanent now?
Yeah,
Did they say
she
that?
was the permanent host.
She's the permanent host.
Yeah. I mean, again, I thought LeVar Burton was great, but I don't know. I have no issues with her either. And I'm sure there's some stupid politics. It's like girl or black dude can't be a white guy, and that's probably why they didn't let the other guy do it.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't it at all.
What was his problem?
Hey, a bunch of shit pop up from his past.
Oh shit! Oh, speaking of shit from the past, you see the John Gruden story?
No.
2011. Apparently, he in an email to some other coach or something like that, he made some sort of racial reference to one of the refs that was at a previous game or something like that, and he's in a bunch of shit for it right now.
Jesus.
Where?
I mean, he's sitting in the chair. He's the closest in the haircut style, at least right now. Again, like, I understand, like, if John Gruden did it today, okay, let's have a conversation about it. This is an important thing to talk about. It's not okay. This is 2011. Documented from 2011.
That's the thing. Like, anything you did in the past, like...
You're not allowed to grow. It's not okay.
No.
You're not capable of growing.
Unless you're a politician.
Yeah.
No, I'm saying...
Unless you're the correct politician.
Unless you're a politician and your party is backing you.
Right. Right. So, I don't know. We'll see. I haven't gone deep into it. I've only seen the headlines on it so far, but the fact that there's even headlines on it is ridiculous. I mean, it's just dumb. Like, again, I'm not going to pretend like it was okay even back in 2011, but to say that John Gruden is so stupid that he has lived the last 10 years watching everything that's going on in the world and is holding on to those ideals, or at least, I mean, he could still be privately holding on to those ideals, but at least isn't smart enough to not use those, vocalize those kind of things in public. Just because he doesn't know better at this point. I don't know. It's just, that's a strong assumption to assume that he's not grown into being a better person, that he's just better at hiding it now because he's aware of it. And it's like, well, come on now.
I mean, I think we've all grown as people, even just being on the podcast and, us talking and having these discussions that we've thought different about things that we believed, and like, okay, I can see that side, and like you've changed as a person of your ideals over time, and so like, okay, can you not grow as a human being?
Right.
You cannot change
No,
your...
not if you're big enough and important enough to
1982,
to crucify.
You thought that Transformers was the greatest movie ever, and so from then on, you are blackballed because you thought Transformers was the greatest movie ever in 1982.
And you can never change. You can never change the statement. You can't update it to Shawshank Redemption or anything that's actually a good movie.
Yeah.
You're stuck with that one for the rest of your life. Yeah. I mean, and again, it's like, and going back to the schooling stuff, like, and I know they do some stuff on it in schools, but like like we didn't grow up with internet. We didn't grow up with a real permanent record per se. Like, there's always the joke about it that like something you did. And I mean, you've told the story about the Ninja Stars thing, which wasn't supposed to go on your permanent record, but kind of did, and that whole debacle. But, like, the idea of how permanent every single thing you do is to a kid nowadays. Because that's all that matters. I just want a phone. Give me a phone, Dad. I need a phone. My friends have phones. And it's like, what are you going to do with the phone? And thank God they hate it. Like, I gave them a phone. They can text, and they can make phone calls on it. That's all they're allowed to do. And so they barely touch it. They barely touch it.
What am I going to do with the phone if I can like text and make phone calls?
And so they barely touch it, and I'm super excited about it. I gave you what you asked for. But, I mean, like, elementary school kids. I go pick them up, and I can't count the number of kids that walk out the door, whoop, onto their phone. And some of it is one of my neighbor's kids who's getting a call from his mom because she's running late or something like that, and she's asking me to give him a ride home or whatever, which I do, and it's fine. But it's like immediately out the door he's on his phone. And everything is always there. Everything is always there, and I think that's a reality that I don't know how to deal with. Like, I don't know how I could deal with that.
We were I was in the airport. We were coming back, and we're walking down the terminal or whatever,
Concourse.
The concourse, that's it. And there's a lady on her cell phone, and she's head down, walking down the concourse on her cell phone, and she's walking straight towards me. And I stop.
Just stood there.
I just stood there, and she walked within like half an inch of me, and was like got out of the way, like I was in her way. Right. And I was just standing here, like. People just get so into their phones that, like, I mean, I guess she thought she could just walk and people were just going to move out of her way while she was walking.
She just left your bag in the middle of, like, in the lane that she was walking in, and then stood next to it. And so she makes sure she gets wide of you and then trips over your bag and face plants it.
So, talking about bags in the airport. In Nashville Airport, there's this lady in the baggage claim flipping out. She's, like, over at the American Airlines, how they have those little booths, so, like, you lost your luggage and stuff. And she is fucking throwing a fit. Loud as shit, yelling and screaming in there, like, you lost my bags, blah, 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 all this shit. And, like, throwing a fit that they had to call the police to get her out of the room. And then they locked the room. And then she's, like, in the main baggage claim, yelling, like, you lost my bag, blah, blah, blah. I mean, just throwing a fit. And then they're escorting her out of the whole entire airport. Like, I'm surprised that they didn't arrest her, but I was like, maybe because she's on this side of security and not the other side of security. So they just got her out of the airport. And then she's outside and she's on her phone and she's like yelling at somebody on her phone, these motherfuckers lost my bag, blah, 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 all this stuff. And then they announce they have her bag. She was looking on the wrong... whatever you call that thing that spins around that spits out bags.
Right. Yeah.
Her bag was one over, spinning around,
just over and over again. So
over and over again.
And that, like, that is the one thing. Like, that person that does exist, and many of them do, is the one thing that makes me not full hardcore libertarian. Like, that's the one thing that says, okay, we've got to figure out how to deal with. There is a set of people that we can't just let go to their own devices. We cannot trust them with their own devices.
It was funny. Like, so mad that she was looking in the wrong place. Cussing people up and down.
I mean, to be fair, though, nowhere in the conversation did anybody ask, like, what flight are you on? And
I don't know.
You know,
about
the
that
correct
shit.
pickup is on this one, not the one you're yelling at me at.
Yeah.
Like
You should be able to assume because there's always like 2 or 3 screens like right there that tells you what flight number
I agree.
is being unloaded right now.
I'm not trying to excuse
You should
her
still have the
actions.
ticket in your fucking hand.
I'm not trying to excuse her actions at all, but I'm just saying, like, you're going to yell at me at. I mean, if I'm the person on the other side of that counter getting yelled at by her, I'm gonna be like, what flight were you on? Where did you come from? Like, these are the questions I'm asking.
Yeah.
Because the first thing I'm going to do, like, my assumption is you're an idiot, obviously, because you're in here yelling and screaming at me. But my assumption would be that it's possible. Yes, it's possible we lost your bag. Sure. But my assumption is going to be that we didn't lose your bag because we don't do that often. It's not a normal occurrence. I'm going to guess you're looking in the wrong place. That would be my first guess. Hey, where'd you come from? Oh, that one's over. That's number 2.
Where
You're
were
at
you
number
looking?
3.
Yeah.
Right. You're at number 3. Your actual bag came on number 2. But, you know, it may have happened, and she may not have been willing to listen because she was already so pissed off. So, I'm not trying to shift blame. I'm just trying to say, like, that would be my assumption in how that conversation should have gone. So, who knows?
So on another topic, had my brother the scientist with us on vacation. And
I saw some pictures, and I wasn't 100% if he brought the boat down.
No.
Oh.
His boat's fucked.
Oh, damn.
No. The motor thing still?
Yeah, $30,000 he's spending on a new motor. And I'm like, really? Because I only spent like $10,000 on my motor for my food truck. But it's a fucking boat motor.
Yeah.
$30,000. So anyway, they flew out. Now they're flying back. Shitty thing is $30,000 on their boat, and they have their RV, and they're like, well, let's go and see our friends up in Maryland or whatever while we're trying to get the boat fixed up. And then coming back, they blew their transmission. It was like $5,000 on their transmission on their RV. I was like, damn it. Like, just one thing after another. But, so I was hanging out with him. We were talking, and I don't know how it came up.
Was it the moon thing?
No, evolution.
Okay, evolution.
What's your, I guess, definition of evolution? What do you think evolution is?
Happy accidents.
You'd be correct. I never, like, I always...
The problem, and I know, assuming where you're going in this, the problem that I always had when I was younger on it, thinking about it and stuff, is that I always assumed there was some intent. Like, there was some intentional reason
like
for
things
this.
evolve to be better, but that's not true.
No. Right,
Exactly.
exactly.
It's a mistake
That worked.
and that thing can survive or exist better than its predecessor. So if you go back to like the Galapagos Islands and you talk about the finches, you know, I always assumed that the finches evolved to have a bigger bill, which they did evolve to have a bigger bill so they can crush the nuts that were bigger on this side of the island versus this side of the island. That's not true. What happened is you had a defect that finch was born with a bigger bill, and because of that defect, it could survive better on that side of the island, so therefore it reproduced, and
Right.
then all the ones of its offspring were having bigger bills that could, but like it makes sense, but I always thought of evolution as something is evolving to be better. It's not evolving to be better. It's something that accidentally happens, like you said, happy accident, that makes them better to exist in the environment they're in.
Right. Like was it London? The birch moth? I think it's called the birch moth. It was in like London or Pittsburgh or some one of the cities that was like, it was one of the major cities that was on the.
Did you think that was as funny as me? Like London or Pittsburgh?
It was one of the
London or Pittsburgh. One of those two major cities.
It was one of the major cities that was on the front end of the Industrial Revolution.
Yeah.
You know, and so when the Industrial Revolution hits, like all the trees started collecting all this smog and soot and stuff off all the fires being burnt and stuff like that. And so there's this particular moth that was a white moth that lived on and around birch trees because they have white bark. And so as all the smog and stuff starts going, and now all of a sudden these trees are black, and all these white moths are getting picked off by the birds and stuff because they're easy to see. Same thing. So some defect version of the moth comes out darker, and it survives, reproduces, and now all of a sudden this species of moth shifted from white to black. And then now that we've done all this clean air stuff and stuff like that, it's started to shift back to white. So like it's theoretically de-evolved back to its
original thing.
It's older form because of the change in environment.
Yeah, but it kind of blew my mind because I always thought that things evolve to be better. Things don't evolve to be better; they evolve because they are better, not to be better.
Right. Again, that's the intent thing. Like I fell to the trap as well of like thinking that there was some logical intent on why I move this way, because if I move this way, I live longer, I procreate more, and then as that goes down the line, the better is the result. Where it's more accurately, it's just like I'm accidentally taller than my friends.
And then he also said something else that made sense to me when I thought about it. That nothing exists for a reason.
As in the concept of nothing, or
like
no actual thing exists for any particular reason.
Yeah, nothing exists for a reason. Things exist because they're good at existing. So bees do not exist to pollinate our fruits and vegetables and stuff like that. That's not their reason for existing. Their reason for existing is because they're good at existing. That is a happy accident that it produces vegetables and fruits for us. But like nothing in the universe exists for a reason. It exists because it's good at existing.
It depends if you want to go down the rabbit hole of, the intelligent design conversation or not. There's a reason the ball started rolling, or there's not. And then, whether the intelligent design was so good that all I had to do was kick the ball just a little bit and it starts rolling and then all the things happen, or did the ball just start rolling? Which, I don't know how I sit on that one, to be honest. Like, I'm really, like, the Big Bang or God pointing and saying...
Well, like people are like, oh, if we lost all the mosquitoes, then these birds wouldn't have anything to eat. No, those birds would just eat something else and something else.
Or they wouldn't, and they'd die.
They would die and something, but like... Mosquitoes don't exist to feed birds. Mosquitoes exist because they're good at existing. Right. It's not their purpose in life isn't to feed birds.
Right. I mean, yeah. I mean, to pull in some AC, we needed. There's a couple of terms we needed to define in conversation.
It's more complicated than that.
No, there's just a couple of terms we need to define, like purpose. I mean, what is purpose in the first place?
But like, well, just saying bees. Bees' purpose is not to pollinate flowers and vegetables.
That was me.
Oh, what the hell happened there?
One of the legs comes under here, and I kicked it on accident.
Like bees do not exist to pollinate our fruits and vegetables.
Right, they exist to procreate.
Yeah, but you can make the argument that they're pollinating those to then continuate those flowers or crops. Because without them pollinating it, those plants don't exist.
Yeah, but they don't know they're doing it.
But they're not existing to... The purpose of their life is not to do that. Their purpose in life is to...
Get food. Protect the queen. Get the next generation of bees to exist.
Right.
They're not, they're not like, I need to build this building over here so my future children can... I mean, it's not a thought process of why they're doing... They're not like, I'm planting these plants so... Later on, I could harvest it.
I mean, we think it's not impossible. God, are we high right now? I feel like this is a really we should be really high for this conversation.
Existential conversation.
I feel like you were probably high when you're having this conversation with your brother. At least he was.
Yeah. No, my brother isn't. Like,
really?
No.
I know his wife does.
Yeah, his wife's kind of pissed off. She's like, I married a pothead,
and then he
not
quit.
A pothead anymore.
But I mean, I'm saying, like, I think to be fair, I don't know that we know that, like, I am, especially with the house animals, like, I'm really bad at kind of giving personification or purpose to what they're doing. Like, why does the dog do X, Y, or Z? And like it's really easy. I had this conversation with one of the kids the other day. It's like, we can't help ourselves, but to apply a thought process that makes sense to them or to us to their head. Like, my dog does what my dog does, not because for whatever reason I think the dog does it. There's a purpose or reason inside his own head that he doesn't understand the way we can poorly, at least at this point, but we can try to identify how we do things and why we do things as a human species, but to pretend that other species fall under those same parameters is is a farce, for lack of a better word. But we are really good as a species as doing that, is assuming that there's some greater purpose, some intelligent function to why X, Y, or Z does what X, Y, or Z does.
Yeah.
Whether it's bees or gorillas or whatever. And so like we can't help ourselves. We just want to do that. We want to be like, hey, the gorillas do that thing because they want to, the big silverback is the big silverback, and that's why he beats up the other dudes so he stays away from the girls and stuff like that. It's like, yeah, we get that. He doesn't know why he's doing that. He's just doing that because he wants to fuck.
He wants to exist.
Right. He wants to fuck, and that dude wants to fuck. And if he lets that dude fuck the chick, then he doesn't get to fuck the chick. So he beats that guy up and gets him out of there. That's why he does that. He doesn't think about it like I want to make sure my species go, or my genes get along further. And so he's just like, I want to fuck.
Yeah.
But there's a level of that alpha male protecting his, quote unquote harem of females.
Right. And again, to pull AC bullshit in again, it's like we need to define protect in this conversation, because protect he's protecting his harem. He's not protecting the harem from others. It's not that he wants to keep the harem alive because he wants them alive, other than that he wants them to carry his children. It's not that I want them alive because they deserve to exist. It's I want them alive so they can carry my kids.
You can argue it's for selfish reasons, yeah.
Right. Which again, it goes by, if we don't want to bring us back into the
altruism.
Right. If we want to bring this back into the human world, that goes. I think that's the same as the altruistic conversation that we've had before. I really do. Like, I think there are people out there that are closer to altruistic than others, but I don't think...
You won't see anything.
Do it?
Yeah, you won't say there's anybody ever.
I at the end of the day, there's at least... I feel good about myself for doing this nice thing. And that is, by definition, not altruistic.
I'm trying to remember where I saw it. They've actually done, like, brain scans on people that in making altruistic choices, to where they're actually using a totally different part of their brain. They're not using that higher function where they're reasoning. Right. It's that basal, like, instinct part of their brain that's having them do something. Because you ask a lot of people, like, why did you do that? And they're like, I don't know. Before I even realized what I was doing it.
But I mean, I think there's a reason. I think on the evolutionary part of the conversation, I think there is a reason that we get that dopamine hit for doing it, whether it's a conscious or a subconscious decision that we make. But there is a reason that evolutionarily speaking, that we get a dopamine hit, that our body says, our glands start kicking out the dopamine because it's like, hey, you did that thing and you're going to feel good about it. There's a reason for that.
That's not altruism.
Where I agree. That's my point.
But like, have you? So
well, then you're defining something that you're not even talking about.
I just my point is that I don't think it exists. I don't think it functionally exists by definition. That's my point. I think that there are acts that are close to it, but I think at the end of the day, bottom line, there is something evolutionarily within most human beings that seeks out that dopamine hit, and some people figure out the way to get that dopamine hit is by helping others. And so they help others to get that dopamine hit.
So have you ever been standing in line and someone drops something and you bend down to pick it up and hand it to them?
Sure.
But it's not like...
Did you pat yourself on the back for it?
Subconsciously, you're like, oh,
no, but I feel good about myself for it. Like, I feel like I did a nice thing. Like, it's not nothing. I don't pick it up and do it and feel nothing.
Really? Like, you've never, like, someone, like, you're standing in line, someone drops something, like, hey, you dropped something, and hand it to them. And they're like, oh, thanks. And I'm not like, I don't have that feeling of, I saved this guy's dollar he dropped on the floor. Or like, oh, this guy. Like,
I mean, I don't think it's as profound as like, this guy would die if I didn't do the thing. But I don't.
But I think
you don't think there's a little, there's not just a little twinge in the back of your head that says, I just did the right thing.
No, not like if I'm standing in line and someone drops something, I'm like, hey, you dropped a piece of paper. And then the guy picks up a piece of paper, and he's like, oh, that was trash anyway. I'm going to throw that away. I don't, like, in that case, like, I just wasted his time. But then it wasn't a good thing for that person. You're actually harming that person, theoretically, conversationally. I mean, you're adding a thing for them to do that they thought they got rid of. They meant to drop that. What I'm saying, I understand on the big scale of what you're talking about and what you're saying. Like, somebody's dying, and you're like, oh, I'm going to go save this guy's life. Like, and then you're like, I saved that guy's life. I feel good about myself. I understand that. But there are small things that you do that you don't think about. And I think I guess my point is I think it just scales. I think the holy shit, I just pulled that
person out of a burning car and saved their lives. Whoo, dopamine rush. Well, I picked up your dollar and handed it back to you. Just a little poke, just a tiny little poke of dopamine, not a big dump. I think it's relative to the action. I think the amount of because again, I and this would have been a good conversation to have with your brother on the evolution topic, because I think there's something in there, and it's a good question as to like what defect made that a normalcy in our species. Because again, we're assuming that most of these evolutionary things are defects that happen to turn out to be a good thing over time.
Apparently, all of them are defects.
Well, right, okay, yeah. Well, but why this one? What defect? Like, who was the first person to do something nice for somebody else? And then he got laid for it, and so he got to procreate more, and blah 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 blah. I'm just saying, like, where did that close to altruism thing insert itself into our gene pool, for lack of a better word, that it became a thing of value to our species?
Collectivism.
I mean, I agree with it. I'm just saying, like, what and again, I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm just trying to.
You're calling it a defect.
Like, altruism is doing something for somebody without having
with zero positive in return. That's the definition, or close to the definition of it.
Right.
And I just don't think that there's such thing as zero return. I think there is some return, whether it's just a nice little feel good about myself for a second thing, or whether it's a huge, I saved this person's life and they're now my forever in debt to me because I saved their life. Like the old movies kind of bullshit. That's my only point. I don't know. It's just.
And it's there is situations where, like, I understand what you're saying, but there are situations where you don't care about the outcome.
Right.
It doesn't matter to
which
you
meets the true definition of altruism. You're doing the good deed just to do the good deed, not because it makes you feel better.
Yeah, exactly. Like, guy just dropped $1 on the ground, and I'm like, hey, you dropped $1, buddy. He's like, okay, cool. Like, that does not...
Yeah, you don't, like, turn around, like, high-five yourself. Like, fuck yeah!
Fucking guy's got his $1. Like...
Yeah, I'm awesome. I'm awesome!
So, yeah. So if you paid, like, oh, Jesus. I was just thinking about, like, you're in line and someone's counting out money and they're short 15 cents and they're like, I want to go to my car and get my change. You're like, here, I just got 15 cents. You're not doing it to make yourself feel better, right? But I guess you would say that now I don't have to wait on him to go to the car and get 15 cents, so it's saving me time.
Right.
That's not altruism, right?
I mean, more or less.
Huh?
I was peeing, so I missed the very beginning of that story.
No, I said, like, you're in line at the grocery store, and someone's 15 cents short.
Oh, that's a hurry up and get the fuck out of my way so I can buy my shit and get out of here.
So...
That's a Jesus Christ, I don't want to wait for you any longer. Here's 15 cents,
so
get
I'm
the
getting
fuck on.
something out of it to give them 15 cents.
Right.
Mutual benefit.
Right. It's that I care more about the next 30, 45 seconds or whatever it's going to take you to get to your car and back than I do about the 15 cents that I have in my pocket right now.
Yeah. But I'm not doing it for them.
Okay, so then it's not definitionally. It couldn't be inside the definition of altruism anyway. You're not doing. You're doing it for yourself from the get go.
There's got to be small altruism stuff that you do.
This is the new entertainment.
So, like, when you're driving to pick up your boys from school, and the neighbor lady's like, "Hey, can you pick my kid up?" Are you doing that?
Oh, that's stockpiling favors.
So when you do that, you're like, oh, "This motherfucker owes me now."
I mean, no, not really, but yes. I mean, I'm not counting numbers, but I do appreciate the idea that if I have a situation, which I have, because they've been pissing me off because they said like 5 times. Okay, not 5 times. Like paperwork came home first couple days of school, pickups at 2:45. Had parent meetings or whatever the first couple weeks of school. Tried to go in and see the same thing twice because I went for both kids. Pickups at 2:45. I've shown up at 2:40, and they're already gone.
The kids are already gone?
Mm-hmm.
Where'd they go?
I mean, they're walking down the side of this. I mean, they're walking. I'm pulling into the side street where I parked to pick them up, and they're already walking. And it's 2:40. It's like I was coming from a place, whatever. Like I knew I could get to where I needed to be by 2:45. and be there to pick them up, but they're letting them out 5-10 minutes early. And so that whole thing. But so yeah, it's I've used it a couple times, especially now with the missus and the broken leg. So if I'm behind and I can't get home to pick them up on time, she can't get in the car and drive up there and pick them up. And so I've called on her and been like, hey, can you bring them home, or can you at least tell them to walk home? That I'm stuck at work, but mom's at home. Stuff like that. So it's like it's a collectivism thing. It's a I'm taking care of my neighbor in the understanding that my neighbor's going to take care of me. I think at some point, if it became like an everyday thing where all of a sudden I'm the fucking bus driver for him, it'd become an issue. I'd be like, no, I'm not your goddamn bus driver. Take care of your own kid.
Yeah, the school's already told me I can't put the kids in the back of the truck.
Yeah, I know. And I've done that. I put him in the back of the truck, too.
I put bungee cords back there.
School doesn't have cameras on across the street, though. That's what. Yeah. Again, apparently this is Seth admits all his crimes tonight. Pretty sure it's past the statute. When I was 15, I did some property damage. It's a whole other story.
I did some property damage on it. I did some property damage and we were caught by cops.
Me too.
I was probably I don't even know, 16, at a construction site, and the black tar paper that you put down before you put the shingles on. It was like a 3-story apartment complex, and they had to use a crane to get those things on top, and they were sitting on top of the roof, and
kicked them off.
Me and my buddies went up, climbed up the scaffolding, and we unrolled them and undid the tar paper so it unroll, and then turned the tar paper down so it rolled off the 3-story building.
Nah, that's awesome.
Oh yeah, we were having a good time. And then cop showed up.
Yeah.
And he started yelling at us, and he was like, "What the fuck you guys doing?" We're like,
see, I need to be more careful. 1, because I don't use a pseudonym. 2, because at least a couple of them I'm thinking off the top of my head right now were here. I'm pretty sure yours weren't local.
No, this is in Colorado. And so then the cop's like, and it's like sometimes you'd roll that thing off and it hit the scaffolding on the way down and knocked the scaffolding down. So then they were like, "We don't roll it down there. That's our last scaffolding to get down off this roof," kind of thing.
Hey, at least you were thinking.
Yeah, we were thinking. And then the cop was like, "You know how much damage you guys caused?" Blah, yelling at us. And then he was like, "You guys are lucky I'm on my way home from work." He's like, "I don't want to fucking have to take you guys in." He's like, "You guys get out of here. If I ever see you guys again, I'm going to arrest you." And let us go.
If you were black, you'd have been in jail.
Well, it's Colorado. We didn't have black people.
That's fair. Yeah, fair enough. All right, so but more real topics since we're talking race shit. Redistricting's going on right now.
I did see some stuff on redistricting.
Okay, so I'm still trying to catch it. I'm trying to get Kyle Ward to come on the show because he is the chair of that committee. And, I mean, I made the point on here a couple times. I think it's dumb. I don't think it's dumb. I think it makes sense the way it's set up, but I think it's unfortunate. Because realistically, the county commission is not going to change structurally no matter how we redistrict. We're not going to lose a Democrat seat to a Republican because of redistricting and any of the versions we're going to do it in county commission. But school board's got a bunch of shit. And since currently the school board is the same district. So there's like 3 school board members that are going to be zoned out of their districts, which means they're ineligible to run for their seat again unless they move. Or they can run in their new district, which may be against somebody that they've worked with that they don't want to unseat.
Yeah.
Jennifer Owen being the major one in conversation right now because Jennifer Owen's pretty. I mean, school board's not technically partisan, but Jennifer Owen is pretty opposite of what the majority of commission is, for lack of a better word. And so she's in one of the models that they're looking at. She's going to get zoned out of her own district.
And then who would she have to run against?
I'd have to look at it. I don't remember. Off the top of my head, I don't remember what her district is to say which district she'd be.
Is that the lumping of Sequoia Hills into?
Yeah, into 1 or 2 to 2. So there's some isms there, and I think it's unfortunate because I think with the way Knoxville is traditionally, politically speaking, the impact of school board is a bigger deal.
Is it a gerrymandering thing?
I mean, yeah, sort of.
So what's the like?
That's just it. That's my point. Is that for the county commission, there's no way that Kyle Ward could gerrymander his way into really substantively changing county commission because it's a 9-2 commission. Take out the 2 at-larges, so it's a 7-2 commission. The at-larges are going to be Republicans because the majority of the county is Republican. So take out the at-larges, and so you have District 1 and 2, Lundy and Durrett. 2 is kind of a purple district already, so I think one of the shifts will make 2 a little redder than it is, but it's still right there on the edge district anyway. So it may change that district, which would make it a 9 or a 10-1, possibly. But on a vote, what's the difference in a 9-2 and a 10-1?
Yeah,
nothing. Now, again, I don't know that it's important or that it should matter that somebody gets district out of their seat. If it's intentional for some reason, that's a bummer. But, for the school board's sake, like one of the issues that for the school board is that technically they all represent all the schools, but they kind of focus on the ones that are in their district. And so Virginia Bab in District 4 has West High School, no middle schools, and like 6 elementary schools. And if one of the models that they're looking at happens, she'll lose West High School. So she'll only have a handful of elementary schools. And she would like to have at least one middle school. And it's like, well, okay. It's just a weirdism that's going on. And I don't know that it matters because, again, the problem being is that, fine, redistrict 4 to add in Bearden Middle School. Half of the student body at Bearden Middle School are going to be in other districts.
So then, like, if you look at, like, where I'm at, so is there one person that has, like, Halls High School, Central, and Powell? Like,
no.
It has 3 high schools?
District 8 would be Halls. District 2 would be Central. Don't know what Powell is off the top of my head. Like, District 2 has Central and Fulton.
Okay, so they go all the way up into Fountain City then.
Yeah.
So they have
District 2 goes all the way up to the top of the hill for Halls.
Okay.
And so, like, as you get down the hill and go into Halls proper,
yeah,
that's when it goes into District 8.
And then how far does that go? Does that district go west?
I don't know. I could just look it up for you and make it a little easier, but
yeah, do that shit.
To the goggle.
The goggle. The more you get, the more you want to mispronounce these tech things.
But I think the long and short of it is, oh, Jesus Christ, make it big. I don't fucking care about Pinterest.
Well, then don't go to Pinterest.
I mean, that's the one that popped up.
Go to the .gov. That'll probably give you the best one.
There you go. School board's the
There we
same
go.
one.
Let's see here. Dun, dun, dun. Oh, what the fuck you doing? Dun, dun, dun.
KGIS. There we go. Come on now. I don't know what Google Lens is. Fucking Christ almighty. Give me a fucking full screen.
What are we looking here?
KGIS.org. County Commission Districts. So, 7.
That's Halls High School and Powell High School.
Yep.
So in 7, there's 2 high schools, and then you're talking about the other lady wouldn't even have a high school.
Yeah. And because she doesn't have, she has West right now because Bearden is in 3.
What? Are you sure that Central is not in 7 also?
I can't quite tell. It doesn't give me any crossroads.
But, like, I mean, that's pretty far down in Fountain City, down Maynardville Highway.
No, I mean, 640. So Fulton's inside 640.
Yeah, but right at that borderline is kind of where Central sits.
Central, because that's, Central's like right here.
No, a little higher.
I mean, it's Fountain City because that would go across. That's where Litton's is, right in the Fountain City area. Central's right behind Litton's there. But I mean, there was
I guess top of the hill, yeah.
There was a school district map somewhere I saw, but anyway, so like I don't know, like there's part of me that's like, well, you should rep all your districts. Anyway, I mean,
Why do you got Illinois up there now?
There's a Knox County, Illinois.
There's also a Knox County, Iowa.
And Kentucky.
Because I've searched Knox County school holidays and been like, oh, fuck.
Yeah, see, there's Central right there. Those are the high school districts.
Yeah, so so that District 2 has Halls High School and Powell High School. So that's kind of weird that
7 has Halls and Powell.
Yeah, no, well, yeah.
Right, and so it comes down to an issue of, like, you're going to vote, like, because your house is in District 8. It's probably not. Your house is probably in District 7.
It's in
right.
7.
But, so somebody that's across Maynardville Highway from your house, they're voting in District 8. They vote for District 8 School Board as well as District 8 County Commission, but their kids go to Halls.
Yeah.
If they're right across the street from you, that's not that far away.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's the problem. That's the issue with it. And it goes back to, like, because we talked about this forever ago, where we were talking about one of the first times we had the topic of gerrymandering and redistricting and shit on the conversation, is that, like, my kind of pitch was, let's do it by school districts. So this school district, how many high school districts do you have to add together to get to the total number you're supposed to have in your district and make that a voting district? Now, you're still going to run into it because you're going to have feeder schools that feed into that high school that don't line up where I could live in the neighboring district but my kid goes to the elementary, middle, or you do it by elementary school. Either way.
Well, I mean, it's kind of like my old business partner. He was where he used to live. His kids would be Brickey Elementary. And so half the kids that go to Brickey Elementary, half of them go to Halls Middle School, and half of them go to Powell Middle School. And his kid was district for Powell Middle School. Then on high school, he was district for Central.
Oh, Central. Wow. That makes sense.
And so it's crazy. Like, okay,
thinking about where his house is, that makes sense. Like, he's right in that little weird spot. Yeah.
Yeah. So
and that's where I am too. I mean, like, our neighborhood goes to West High School. The neighborhood that is on the other side of Weston from us goes to Bearden High School.
Wait, this goes to West? So your kids are district for West?
Yeah.
So, which is crazy because
Bearden is significantly closer.
Well, I mean, not just closer. Like, when you think about, so your kids that are going to this elementary school, most of those kids are going to go to one school.
Bearden Middle. Right, all of them go to Bearden Middle.
All of them go to Bearden Middle.
I believe.
Then you go to Bearden Middle, and then half of them split off. So, in my old business partner's thing, he went to Brickey, and so half the kids would go to Halls, and half the kids go to Powell. So that splits, and then you go to Powell Middle School. Half the kids there go to Halls, half the kids go to Powell, and half the kids go to, or the third goes to Central.
Three halves.
Yeah, but it was like crazy. So like the school's splitting so much, and I don't know how they can't get that.
I mean, it's a matter
unified.
of. I don't think they can. It's just a matter of we built this elementary school because the neighborhood blew up and we needed it. And now we got to shift around. We only have the one high school, and then we can't have that high school take that whole elementary school on because the high school can't reach the capacity. We got to split them up. I mean, like my parents' house is when they bought the house under construction, it was zoned for Farragut. By the time we moved in, it was rezoned to Bearden.
I'd say I assumed your kids were going to go to Bearden.
I mean, I would have thought so too. I didn't care that much. I mean, apparently, from what I've heard, West is a better school right now, anyway. So, because apparently all the web kids that parents got broke in the 2008 housing crisis started sending their kids to West. They were zoned for West. That was the story I heard, at least.
That's funny.
I don't know. I don't know the depths of it. I mean, what I found interesting too is talking to some of the school board people is like apparently like. Different high schools have different focuses. Like they have different directions that they push the kid.
Mm-hmm.
Which, depending on what my kids are into, whether that's a good thing or not, because we're zoned for a school and we're stuck with that, and they just don't have a desire for whatever that school specializes.
Just apply for STEM.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see when we get there. I can't figure out what my kids are interested in other than playing fucking video games. I want to be a YouTube creator, or I want to design video games.
That's every kid. And then you'll have a almost 22-year-old that's never worked a day in their life.
Yep. And they exist. And I don't know. I think there's broader structural conversations about the whole thing that I guess we're all too scared to talk about because it's complicated.
Well, see, this is the thing is, when you were growing up, you were like, I want to be a NFL football player. I want to be a, Major League Baseball player. Like you had these dreams of that's what I want to do, right? And then as you get older, you realize I don't have the body to do this. I am not athletically
right. I'm not
capable.
I'm not physically good enough for it, or I'm not disciplined enough to put forth the effort to be that good at it.
Yeah, and so then that goes away. The problem is with this whole, I want to be a YouTuber. Anybody can be a YouTuber. There's no physical requirements to be a successful YouTuber.
Right, and there's not an amount of technical knowledge that you need to have to operate the things.
No.
I'm pretty sure I could even teach you how to do what I do over here to run a podcast.
Oh, for sure. But this is the problem is it's still like being an NFL football player. Like the percentage of the people that want to do that,
right.
do that.
I'm an asshole, yeah.
Is small, but because there's not a limitation that you see,
right?
That all these kids nowadays are like, I'm gonna be a YouTuber.
Right. That guy can do it. I can do it.
Yeah, like
what does that guy have that I don't?
You know what I mean?
Right.
He's a fat old motherfucker laying on the couch. Like I can do that.
Right.
And it's not like that guy's a specimen of athletic ability, and you can define
right,
that. Like,
so the kid that I pick up all the time because his mom asks, not all the time, but because his mom asks because she's running late or something like that. He's super into baseball. And it's like, I'm an asshole because I'm like, are you the best on your team? It's like, no. Like, well, if you're going to be a pro baseball player, you need to be the best on your little league team. You need to be the best on your high school team. You need to be the best on your college team. And you might have a chance of going pro after that.
You're telling this kid this?
Not exactly.
Please stop.
Please stop.
Just stop.
You're ruining his
But
dreams.
it's a thought process I have in talking to him because he's all about baseball.
But that's 100% accurate, and you can define that like I'm not going to be a professional baseball player, but
right,
YouTube, you look at these people like I could do that, and so these kids have this idea that they could do that.
Right,
like,
do
you understand this a lottery?
A better poor example, but that is like I truly believe that this podcast could be functionally successful. There's nothing special about what I'm doing. There's nothing exciting. There's nothing. I'm not focusing. I'm not putting hours and hours and hours and hours of attention and time and detail and all that stuff. I'm not a fucking journalist. I'm not trying to be a journalist. But I think there's market for what I'm doing. Now, I do think there is something specific about the market that I'm trying to sell to with what we do here that gives it a shot. But I'm a poor example because or maybe I'm a good example because we may never go anywhere. We may stick with our 5. Are we at 5 now? I always forget. We always go back and forth between 4 and 6.
5.5.
Something like that. Is that I think we have a special spot that we could fill with what we do. But I don't know that a kid that wants to be a YouTuber thinks of it that way. Because I do think there's a niche that is missing in local politics coverage that we are trying to fill.
But see, the difference is you're not quitting your day job and putting all your eggs in one basket on this podcast.
Oh, but I'm so close.
But what I'm saying is, like, if people actually start listening to the podcast,
people do listen. Friends, I appreciate all you guys that email me and stuff. Thank you.
And it takes off, then great. We've created something. It's awesome. But
that's the lottery that you mentioned. I mean, I think you're right.
It's a lottery, and so, but kids nowadays, they're like, I'm gonna be a podcaster. Well, you can't just fucking be a podcaster. Like that's not a job. Being a YouTuber is not a job until you become a famous YouTuber.
Right, and I always try to
then it's a job.
When I talk to my kids about it too, it's like, the ones that you like, the ones that you listen to or you watch or whatever. There's a whole bunch of stuff going on that you don't see. There's a whole bunch of stuff going on. Even the dumb ones, even the silly ones. Like there's this one girl that they watch that she does like reaction videos where they do they compile a bunch of fail videos where people hurt themselves like trying to skateboard or whatever, and like it's her reacting to it, or like people cooking something cool, and it's like, what are they cooking? And then like the whole video is her just like watching the video of somebody else doing something and then like responding to it. That's her whole thing. But there's a whole, even that, as simple as that is, it's just, I'm like, it'd be like us watching the football game we were watching earlier and talking about what's going on in the football game. Well, it's a football game. It's live. That's a different thing. But there's either her or some people that work for her are out there finding these videos and compiling these videos. And even if it's her just fresh watching it the first time, there's a skill to what she's doing. It's not just all of a sudden she goes, and then things come out of her mouth and it's cool and fun and exciting. Like there's a skill that she has honed over time in doing that. And like I try to explain that to the kids and it just goes.
No, they think they just turn on the camera and they're like, 10 minutes later.
Right. Like I tell them all the time, it's like, I got most of the stuff. We could do a thing. Like you have to go, you're not allowed to be yourself per se. We're going to build you an avatar to do it. You know, we'll get some of your Halloween masks or whatever, and you'll have to wear your Halloween mask if you want to be on screen or whatever. You're not allowed to put your face out yet. Okay? But we can do it. But you need to tell me what you want to do and how we're going to do it and exactly what we're going to do. And how many videos have I produced for them?
0.
Because they don't want to put forth that part of effort. It's like, if this is what you want to do, I'm down. I'm down to help you figure it out. I'll make a channel. I'll promo your show when you get your show up. I'll tell everybody, all our 6 listeners, to go check you out and follow you on YouTube or whatever.
And part of that's like reaching a certain threshold of followers before YouTube or whatever starts promoting you that much more. Well, not even monetizing, but it starts like promoting you as being, popping up in suggestions of other people that watch this. Here's something else you might like.
Because YouTube is trying to keep you watching.
Right.
Because the longer you're watching, the more ads they can
sell. It's only going to push things that are a lot of other people are watching.
Right, and so they could and so and then there's that whole part of it too, is people know that people that understand how the algorithm works for YouTube. Most of your most popular videos on YouTube, like your creators that are regularly on the top 100 list of like popular creators, they have a team that knows how to manipulate that.
What they call clickbait.
Right, they know how to get you on those things. They know how to they know what they need to do to get it so that YouTube starts suggesting you. Right. They know what to do, how to word things. They know all the tags that put in on your posts and stuff like that to make you more. And there's a skill to it, and there's classes for it at this point.
Oh yeah,
they teach that shit.
Pop up in more search results.
Yeah,
I mean, you literally pay PR firms to promote you being a higher amount, like just a regular Google search.
Yeah, which has been sucky for us because I've tried, but since I'm attached to a unadvertisable business, I can't advertise. Like I actually talked to somebody. Like I talked to a Facebook employee, like on the phone, and because they were doing a promo. It's like, hey, call us now, and we'll help you make more, better posts to get more likes and follows and stuff like that. It's like, okay, cool. And so I call them up, and then like, hey, what you doing? So I was like, hey, well, so here's my problem: is I'm not allowed to advertise because I own a business that is unadvertisable, and I understand that. And this is a separate thing that I'm doing. It has nothing to do with the other. I'm not trying to advertise that business through this. This is just a project that I'm working on. But I'd like to advertise it through Facebook because I would like to get more people listening to my show. And she's like, oh, well, that goes to this department. Let me transfer you over there. And so I sat on hold for like 5 minutes and then I hung up. Because I don't know what I have to do to figure out how to get that cycle thing broken. But it's just like I cannot do anything with our Facebook page because of my history and other businesses that I own Facebook pages for.
Right.
Just stupid. But
guilt by association,
I guess. I mean, and even then though, I've never tried to do anything. I've never tried to scam anything. I just tried to use Facebook to the best that I could.
Right.
And it turns out that my products aren't advertisable on Facebook. It's like, okay, fine. I'm not mad that I can't advertise that on there, but I want to advertise this because this is another thing. It's, just because it's me doesn't mean that this is that me. I have multiple things I can juggle.
That's funny.
It's a bummer because there's room for it. Like I ran a Google ad for our website, but it's like, I mean, what does that function? Like what do you search? Because so Google search or Google ads go off of searches. What would you search? What would you be searching that isn't our podcast that I could keyword in so that I pop up when you search something that would make sense to you?
Political podcast.
Right. Right, but again, that's a pretty small window because you're not going to Google search that. You're going to go on whatever podcast provider you like to get that information anyway. But what do I put? What do I put in the keywords? It says like Knoxville, local, politics, government podcast. Like, what would you be searching that I would want to attach that to that I might get a chance on? That I might actually get a chance on a click for? because most people aren't going to search for a podcast particularly. They like it could be like, you know, Knox County government. So when you go and try to find, you know, Mayor Jacobs' email address, we pop up in the Google search. That would be an option. But even in that, it's like that doesn't feel like it's a good targeted land for what we're trying to do, because I'm trying to email the governor or the mayor. Let's go listen to this podcast. That doesn't really track to me, and I might be wrong on it, and it might be I've misused it, but you know, I tried. I think I've spent $12 on Google, because I mean, and that's the cool thing about Google Ads and stuff, though, is you pay for what you get. It's not pay us $100, we'll put your thing out 100 times. It's tell us how you want to spend $100. Sure, we'll put it out, and for every click, we'll take $1 out of your account, and so you get what you pay for, and nobody's clicking on anything that I made searchable or tried to attach us to searchably. And so somebody out there that's better at marketing than me could probably do it. But
yeah, just got to find common keywords. Hot button.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure like Knox County masks something. I could have gotten a ton of stuff on. The school board mask mandates.
Politics.
Could have gotten a ton of clicks. You know, and I mean, honestly, I mean, that's our biggest landing episodes have been these school board episodes lately. Like by far. These school board episodes are blowing up. And it's fun. Like I got on to somebody about it because they, I posted one of our emoji or one of our shows, and I got a puke emoji as a comment. I was like, "Did you listen to it, or is it just the person that you're puking at?"
Was it my theme song? Is that all you listened to?
I guess speaking of the theme song, guys, it's time. Sam, outro.
No, thank you.
Max.
Yeah.
Yeah, outro for me? You want to do it? They make so much fun of me for my outro music and my style and my scheme.
Yeah, I like the song.
I do too. I enjoy it very much. It's my favorite. My kids will sing it randomly. Like those who sit at the kitchen, when we sit at the table eating dinner or whatever, everyone will be like, "Da-da-da-da-da." I was like, yeah. Anyway, Almost Agreement. almostagreement@gmail.com. Find us on Facebook, on Twitter, on YouTube. Go to our website. You can get all the episodes on there, as well as all your favorite podcast providers. While you're in any of those places, please like, share, follow, subscribe, thumbs up, retweet, whatever the thing is. Help us spread the word, because apparently I can't figure out how to pay to do it. So on the website, almostagreement.com/cityelections21 is our city election cheat sheet. Early voting starts this week, so if you don't know who you're voting for yet, that's a decent resource for you to look at it in. And don't forget, you get to vote for all 5 districts, even though you don't live in all 5 districts, because that's the way city elections work. Working on a couple of different things. I'm really excited about this Governor Lee's school funding conversation, because I really think it could be huge. So I'm going to be chasing that around. I've been talking to Ron McPherson as well as some school board members to talk more about that as we get more information on it. Good night, everybody.